884 million people in the world do not have access to safe water. This is roughly 1 in 8 of the world's population.
Water-related disease is the second biggest killer of children worldwide after acute respiratory illnesses like tuberculosis.
2.5 billion people do not have access to adequate sanitation. This is almost 2/5 of the world's population.
The simple act of washing hands with soap and water can reduce diarrheal diseases by over 40%.
These issues that seem so foreign to us, who live in developed nations, are issues that billions of people must face daily. Over the course of the past month, we've had the opportunity to examine these issues firsthand. A cooperative effort with the Satchela community in Bua, Ecuador, has provided us with a fully immersed observation of life in a culture facing a dramatic transition. This podcast illustrates the specific issues concerning the education of water in Bua, Ecuador.
We asked members of our group what they thought about the access to clean water at the school in Bua.
I don't think there is a lot at all. I think that pretty much the only people who are trying to do stuff are Yana Puma and Shinobi, who are like working with Yana Puma, because I don't know, just like from being at the school, I feel like there's nothing, like they don't teach you anything about water. It's just like a basic, which is like understandable, I guess, because like,
Why?
because like, I mean, even in like in the United States, like you don't learn about like water safety in middle school, you know, like there are more important things that, you know, like math, I guess, and so it's that like you need more like in order to, you know, like get a job, you know, you don't need to learn about water, you don't need to learn about, you know, how it's like hurting your environment, but you do need to know how to add and subtract.
We asked Tatiana, a member of Yana Puma, what she thought the education level of the children at the school was about their water.
At school, children receive some classes about air, water, and natural resources, with the natural science classes that are included in the school's curriculum. But for the most part, a specific subject concerning the protection of our environment is not included in our school.
Ian and Isabel reflect on the problems that face Bua today.
We've tried to do some really great things, but we've also learned that there are problems that face the community, such as polluted water from pesticides, the soap that is used to wash clothes and bodies. There's no biodegradable soap available to the families in Bua.
We definitely discovered a lot of things that we had not thought about before, because living in a developed country, we have our basic needs met. In places like these, classes that approach these problems directly, I think are needed, and some kind of instruction. It should be instilled in their culture, in their way of growing up, that these kinds of hygiene issues that they should be aware of.
Well, we realized that there are problems in Bua. What sort of impact did we have on the community in our stay there?
So we've built the toilets for them for proper sanitation, and I believe now it's up to the community itself to move forward.
I think that's really up to them.
Mm.
Like we can tell them from outside, as a volunteer, as a student, as a foreigner, we can tell them to do many things. We can tell them to wash their hands, we can tell them to boil their water, we can explain to them why that is important for their health.
We really had a different perspective on our impact in Bua.
It's almost like a good thing that we didn't have a big impact, because if we did have a bigger impact than we actually made, then it could have like damaged like their cultural experience or like offended them in some way, I think. So I think it's good that we were kind of went in there humbly and at least tried to go in there like that.
We asked other group members and Tatiana what they thought about the future of water and water education in Bua.
Personally, I think that the community in general is making progress and getting help from outside, and within itself just making a big effort concerning the water habits and all that. And I think it's really looking good. It's a movement that's going forward.
The Ecological Toilets project represents a very important step forward. We'll give workshops at the school about the use of the toilets. These include explaining the reason for the need of implementing systems of sanitation, in this case the toilets. The main purpose of this is for the children to understand that the objective of building these eco-toilets is to take care of the water sources and do our best not to contaminate them. In addition, they will use the eco-toilets starting at the end of October and soon realize that it takes little to take care of their environment. All they need is some willpower from their part. This way they can keep studying and preparing in these topics. Above all, it is important to have the support from other institutions and foundations for these education projects. Not only for children, but for most people, for Satchela, the young and the older. But the starting point is children, because they are who go back home and transmit the message to protect the environment.
I feel very hopeful. There's a lot of great projects, the ecological toilets that we've already been working on. There's a pipeline going in now, funded by the government, that will provide families living along the main road, including the school, with running water.
So it has to be a balance, definitely, in between the environment and development.
We asked Tatiana if she thought there was hope for the situation of water in Bua.
I believe that all projects are connected to an overall awareness project first. Education to people, because one could plan and lay out the best project in the world. But if the people don't know why it is being done and don't understand the importance of the project, then there could be all the resources needed, the human and ecological resources. But if people do not participate in this, and the community projects do not involve all the people to take conscience of what they're doing, I don't think that the fundamental goal would be met.
However, in places like Bua, knowledge about water sources could be a matter of life and death. The progress made has created immediate improvements, but there is still much work left to be done to educate people in rural communities about water issues. Then again, there's also much work to be done in developed countries. For instance, do you know how clean your water actually is? Where does your gray water and sewage go after you've used it? How is it treated? If you don't know the answers to these questions, find out. Take the initiative to find out what you don't know. Visit a sewage treatment plant in your hometown. If you live in the US, observe closely how one of the most developed countries in the world handles the most basic of human needs. You might be surprised at what you discover.